I know this is really the way politics works, but in many instances, though, since this was such a historic law, that meant it's still self-interest first. Would you say that that's the norm? Am I pushing?
Somehow, it's a personal observation, so I might be wrong.
Yeah, no,
but somehow, yes, it does happen. Basically, it's part of the psychology of a human being.
But are we creating, I guess I'm asking, is our politics transforming? In the 3 terms you've been in Congress, have you seen any transformation? You're young.
Say yes.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Tell me how and why you say
that.
Well,
first, when the Department of Budget and Management came out with a menu, it was quite difficult for others to accept it. This was a menu on allocation of resources.
Right.
For a political situation where people have been, where leaders or public officials have been used to say, I want this, I know my people needs this, these are my priorities, it will be very difficult for them to accept a scientific manner of determining the need of every aspect of our country.
Yes.
And the acceptance came, the implementation came, and they realized that indeed, like if you allocate teachers, it was actually based on the shortages determined by DepEd. You cannot just put, before you hire teachers on a school that you personally perceive as a school in need, without considering the scientific basis. And when the menu of all projects covered by the pork barrel came, there was some objections, but later on they realized that it was good, because people started to appreciate. It was government spending was more target-based. And government spending, we're focusing on projects that had impact, that has impact to the lives of the Filipino people. And sometimes this cannot be seen by individual districts. It needs a macro study or a macro
Correct.
determination.
So in giving that's fantastic that you said that. What can we do, media, private citizens, to actually help our legislators make the right moves or make the right decisions?
One of the greatest things that the media, the tri-media sector can do is to say, yes, this is needed, and yes, this is not needed, and to support the president, in his economic agenda, in his priorities. Because some people will say, oh, we need a lot of medical missions, and the president will say, no, if we talk about health services, we need universal health care first, and we need to look at the longer effect. So these things should be in place.
How would you describe Philippine democracy today?
Well, it's a lot better than when we were during the previous years.
But if that's so centered on President Aquino, what happens after 2016?
I personally believe that with what is happening now, one of the greatest legacy that President Aquino can give is an empowered people. Look at ARMM. It was very difficult to postpone the ARMM elections. There was uproar on many aspects of their governance. But when President Aquino said, no, nobody will be extended, we will appoint people who will not have any political interests, and he started putting a lot of projects, infrastructure, education, social services in ARMM. You now have empowered people, and anybody who comes will be expecting this to happen. It's like you've tasted it and you want more. And if you put a politician who will revert and go back to the old ways, then people will start saying, no, he should be changed, he should not be there.
Fantastic. What about the 2013 elections? What do you see happening now? I mean, this is going to be the end of your term.
Yes. Many people were questioning the programs of the government initially. But if you look at the candidates who are unopposed, this is the first time. I was unopposed in 2010.
Right.
But you usually have like 3, 4, or 5 unopposed congressional candidates at the most. For these elections, we have a lot of unopposed mayors, governors, congressmen, no politicians squabbling against each other. The problem is very minimal, and I would attribute it to the many projects, the president, and the identification of priority projects that has transcended to all politicians across the country.
That's interesting. So you're optimistic.
Yes.
What does this mean now in terms of, I guess, so you've pegged it to a president, to an executive who's willing to lose political points to stand up for the right legislation. It took him a long time, though.
Yes, yes.
Isn't that?
But if you look at his rating, like he would have a high rating, and if he does something, especially if people are misinformed, then his rating would go down a little.
Right.
But he has that gap. He has the flexibility of doing it because he has a very high satisfaction rating, and he's a very popular president.
Right.
And he wouldn't care if it dips a little because he is confident, and we are confident that when people look at what he has implemented, and then people realize that, oh, it was actually for our common good. It was not that bad as what others claim. So his popularity will again go up. So it's like that. When he implements something, like they say, oh, that's dictatorial, it's not democracy, and he goes down. But they say, oh, but we needed it, because if he did not do that, nobody will do. And if you talk about too much democracy, sometimes it's very difficult to lead a country. So there are the mixing democracy and the semblance of being a strong leader are aspects that the president was able to manage
In doing this.
Yeah.
My last question, Janet, is for you. It's three-termer Congress, co-author of this bill that's gone through. What lessons have you learned about, well, yourself and Philippine politics?
Patience. Yeah, I've learned to be patient, and I've learned the virtue of being realistic, but hoping for the best. So people will always discourage you if you want to do something good. But if you believe in something and you plan it, especially if you do it discreetly, but creeping and achieving your aim, then you can do it.
How can you encourage lawmakers to have more courage to stand up in the future? I mean, do you see this coming? You mentioned empowerment will help of the citizens, but among the collegial body
Yes.
of lawmakers?
I believe we are starting to transform, with people calling for a representative who can really convey the voice of the people, the voice of their constituents. And one thing that we see as a very good point in the present Congress is that many of the politicians realize that if you come out in the open, talk to your people, let them understand, whether they agree or they don't agree, but keep on convincing them and telling them the good points that this will produce, or the effects that it will produce in their individual lives, then you'll get the trust, the confidence, and later on it's like a family relationship. And then you become stronger, you become more confident, and you become, it's rewarding. It's rewarding. Because politics is not a very, if you look at it as a career, it's not a rewarding career. But at the end of the day, if you retire from politics and think of the good things and the good advocacies that you have made, then it makes you proud of yourself, and it makes your family proud of you. And this is an issue that should be implanted in every politician's mind.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on Talk Thursday.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Iloilo Representative Janet Garin. I'm Maria Ressa. Keep the conversation going. We're talking now about the next steps for the RH law and what that means for you.